bombs, guns, tanks, flamethrowers. When I think of war, in this case World War I often imagine people heroically fighting for their country. Men using their weapon to stand their ground. Of course, bloodshed is bound to happen, but I usually don't see the deeper outcomes past that. How exactly are these soldiers being killed? What are these soldiers thinking? What do they feel? The imagination can only bring so much. My questions were soon answered by German novel All Quiet on the Western Front. All Quiet on the Western Front is a 1927 novel by Erich Maria Remarque, translated by A.W. Wien, and follows a soldier's experience in the military during World War I. The novel introduces us to Paul Baumer, a 20-year-old soldier who is faced with the harsh world of warfare. He is surrounded by his comrades Kemmerich, Bem, Jaden, Kaczynski, and many others. Paul tells the story of his rough experience in the army and the struggle of staying sane in times like this. We watch his world turn into gloom as he continues to fight in a war with no end in sight. This grand experience changes these men and spins their whole outlook on life. The book went on to sell 2.5 billion copies and would later spawn multiple film adaptations, including the 1930 American award-winning film and the recent one released by Netflix. One thing taken away from this book is the brutal reality of war. As I mentioned before, I struggle to imagine what actually went down. After reading this book and learning the stories of these men, I can say the way I once viewed the war has substantially changed. So in this video, I'll break down the sad realities of the Great War in All Quiet on the Western Front, and how this novel's writing has opened my eyes. Under the situation of war, the soldiers must viciously kill other men not just because they're instructed to do so, but they have to, in order to survive. Their feelings must be suppressed as they do these cruel acts to each other, to live another day. We have lost all feeling for one another. We can hardly control ourselves when our glance lights on the form of some other man. We are invisible, dead men, who through some trick, some dreadful magic, are still able to run and kill. The way these soldiers are killed are ruthless, horrific, and cold. One from the outside can never truly understand the terrors witnessed on the field. But author Remarque helps put these acts into perspective by his descriptive choice of words. One man has his head torn off, and was said to have blood spout from his neck like a fountain. The horses are even put into this mess as they are mourning of the world martyred creation, wild with anguish, filled with terror and groaning. As I read it out loud, it may not sound that brutal, but read with the larger context of the story, the words hit like daggers. Feeling the fear of the characters you spend so much time with adds another layer to it all. The characters you've learned to love are now in a cruel, cruel place. The vivid images drawn left me deeply unsettled. I have struggled to grasp the pain that was felt in wars, specifically World War I. In class, it's just more words in a textbook I have to memorize. All Quiet does an excellent job at humanizing these events and making readers understand the harsh circumstances the characters are placed in and the emotions in the air. In another scene, after killing a soldier by hand-to-hand combat for the first time, our main character Paul goes down a spiral. He realizes this was a person who, just like him, had a life to live outside the war. He started talking to the dead body, trying to make peace with it. He says, "Why do they never tell us that you are poor devils like us, that your mother are just as anxious as ours, and that we have the same fear of death, and the same dying, and the same agony? Forgive me, comrade. How could you be my enemy?" The act of killing changes Paul. Taking someone's life away with your bare hands is no easy task, and the emotional weight put on is unbearable. The brutalities of war these men witness and partake in transform these men into monsters while fighting. We often look at how soldiers are treated on the battlefield and how they may struggle in the real world afterwards, but one location overlooked is the hospital. A hospital is a place where people come for treatment and seek healing, but in All Quiet on the Western Front, we learn that isn't always the case. At the hospital Paul resides in Chapter 10, Joseph Hammacher warns new arrivals to avoid doing the surgery because the surgeon will play around with their bodies. He says, he operates on you for flat feet, and there's no mistake, and you don't have them anymore. You have club feet instead, and have to walk all the rest of your life on sticks. Instead of helping their patients in the best way they can, the surgeons of this world have taken the opportunity to experiment on these injured men and possibly add more damage. Joseph further explains, every 6 months the surgeon catches them again and breaks their bones afresh, and every time is going to be the successful one. By this he means the surgeon keeps promising each surgery will go well, but that doesn't end up being the case. With spirits crushed from the war already, this generation of men is faced with their lives possibly further being altered, all thanks to the surgeon taking advantage of the situation for his personal endeavors. This is yet another scary reality of the war in the novel, as it shows even places deemed as safe havens aren't free from an abuse of power. Look, war is a deep and complex topic with so much to discuss, and I couldn't do all that here. So don't take this video as a historical deep dive on World War I. But what I wanted to do was really show the dark realities faced by these soldiers through this wonderful book. All Quiet on the Western Front is hands down my favorite book I've read this year, for topics discussed in this video, and many, many more. I think Remarque's humanization of the war really puts Paul's story into perspective, and gives me a better understanding of what went on. The book's beautiful writing just adds a cherry on top. If you're watching this video and haven't read the book yet, I highly recommend doing so. For a classic novel, it's very straightforward and easy to understand. However, I must warn you, it is very sad, like very sad. I usually never cry when reading a book or watching a film, but some tears began to flow from my eyes when I read the final 2 chapters. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button and share this video with a friend. If you want more videos like this, subscribe. More videos on my favorite books and TV programs are on the way. And if you have any further thoughts, critiques, or anything else you want to share, drop it down in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, guys.